Hi, I'm Tracy Pierce. Thanks for joining me for this series of free mini animal communications. This series was really born out of what's happening in the world at this time with the coronavirus and the pandemic, with people being on lockdown. I really started to wonder, like during that first week here in the US when things were shutting down, I was house sitting at a friend's house. And so I was driving back and forth from my house to her house, and there was hardly any vehicles and life just seemed really different. And I wondered what the animals thought about all of this. And then my animal friends kept like pinging me like, hey, Tracy, if you did this free animal communication thing, we could spread our wisdom to the world. So really that's what these sessions are for, is that animals that want to share their wisdom with the world. And it's really cool if you're joining us here live, because you can also chime in, and any questions that you might have, you can definitely, if you're on Zoom, on the bottom bar, there should be a button that says chat. If you click on that, then you can just type in if you're on the chat. But also if you are joining us on Zoom, on Facebook, you can type into the comments there. I believe I've got it pulled up. So if you have questions for our animal friend here today, you can definitely join in the conversation. So I'm pulling up the picture of our animal friend here today. This is Wamba. Wamba is a very special, almost kind of mystical kitty. I've talked with him at least a couple other times. Oh, hi, Isabel. I see your chat message now. So Wamba passed away in January, I believe, just a few months ago. And we talked to Kimbo last week, I think, and Kimbo was Wamba's kitty friend. They lived in the same house together, and it seemed like when we did that conversation with Kimbo that Wamba had some stuff to share as well. So we're going to be checking in with Wamba here today. So let's take a moment and get quiet and start tuning into Wamba. He has such a big presence. Like, I feel him come forward right away. And I see him highlighting the color of his fur in this picture. It just feels very sunshiny and golden. And he really feels like this kitty sage is kind of what I feel. He has this really deep wisdom that sometimes really feels beyond even like a human sage or master might have. What else do you want people to know about you, Wamba, or anything else, the situation in the world? Messages for your humans? I feel this relaxation in his energy. There's this sort of level of relief of being out of a physical body. So Wamba is still in the afterlife, is what he's showing. Yeah, so Wamba was a bit of a special needs kitty when he was incarnated this time and had some physical things. And he's just showing like there's a lot of relief being out of a physical body. Like, he was really happy to be in this incarnation that he was in. But yeah, he's showing it's almost like taking off a really heavy, wet raincoat, that's just drenched. Like, you take it off and it's like this weight just kind of falls away. He's showing himself as this kind of sparkly cloud of energy now. Yeah, there's this real sense of relaxation or downtime. Is it like you're on vacation now, Wamba? That's kind of the impression I'm getting. Well, it's not really vacation, he says, and he's showing me these images of like walking around an ashram or some other kind of spiritual property. And he shows himself just kind of gently walking through like a garden, like a Zen garden, or he's like, it's more like that. So it's not really a vacation. Like I'm not sitting on the beach sipping Mai Tais or anything, but there is this serene sense of peace and quiet that he's really enjoying. Yeah, and again, I get this sense of him being some sort of sage or master Wamba. Very wise. So Wamba, I wonder if there's anything you want to share with us about the afterlife or anything else about that? Yeah, he's showing this, he is showing he's very much still working with his humans from beyond. He's showing the command node, that energetic command node of your place there, Isabel, and his connection to, it's almost like, it's not quite a lightning, it's almost like this ray of light that comes down and like comes right into that energy center in your house. He sends a lot of this gold energy is what he's showing. He says it's the gold energy that resonates. He says you're familiar with it, that um, yeah, his goldenness, his bigness, he's really pouring that into the energy center of your house. Yeah, he's saying he and Kimbo are very much still working with you. That him being out of his physical body actually gives him a chance to work with you guys in a much bigger way. Can you say more about that, Wamba? He's really saying, well, they know what I'm talking about. He's showing how you guys are tuning into him. You can feel him in the house. There's some way that you are working with that energy center in the house that really brings a lot to the household. He's helping you hold that, but he also, there are things for you to learn from that, is what Wamba is saying. Yeah, he's showing that you guys are both very aware of energy in the house and these slight energetic changes, and that's part of what he's wanting to continue to work with you on, even from, you know, beyond his physical existence, is creating spaces, landing spaces, really creating beautiful, homey kind of spaces, saying that's something, particularly Isabel, that you're really good at. He really likes the way like your masculine and feminine energies balance each other, the two of you guys. He's showing, well, I see like a yin yang symbol that, you know, it's kind of moving and chasing itself. The way you guys work with what's happening with, it's not quite gender roles, but these qualities of masculine and feminine energy that you bring. He really likes that. It's like a beautiful little dance, he says. Thanks. All right, so I'm just gonna check and see if we have any questions here. Facebook might be doing weird things. It looks like we got everybody. I'm not seeing any questions right away. So Wamba, I wonder what else you might like to share with us. Do you have any views on the pandemic, the coronavirus, the lockdowns that are happening here today in much of the world? He says, well, Tracy, you're being a little influenced by the article you read just before you did this session. I did read an article that was about world leaders and the different responses, and he's saying, but that is very valid. Everything that's happening, like this is a big crisis for a lot of people, and we're getting to see what our world leaders are actually made of, is what Wamba is saying. Do you feel like there are something, I mean, is there something besides that that we could learn or understand from this? He's showing, well, it may affect some people and where they decide to live, and maybe they want to move, and he's kind of pointing at me. He's like, yeah, you know, Tracy, you've always, I mean, even since your 20s, wondered whether you wanted to continue to live in the United States. And it's like, this is really showing you what your country is made of. And he's showing, like, there's a lot of different people who are responding, you know, different people, different cultures responding differently. A lot of people are on lockdown, he says, but not everybody. And he just wants people to acknowledge and be aware of their own country and how, or maybe even their own state, for those of us here in the US, or bigger countries, maybe Australia as well, how these individuals who are in charge are actually responding, and whether that fits with how you want to live your life. He sees that there may be a lot of people move after this. Do you mean like move to different countries, or? He said, well, yeah, that's possible. You know, in Europe, people tend to, this is what he's saying, tend to move around to different countries much more easily than like somebody for the US, somebody from the US. He's like, well, the states in the US are kind of like individual countries in some ways. He says he could see in the US that people moving to different states depending on the governor's response. Wamba, is there anything else you want to share about that or the situation in the world? He said, I don't want to diminish what's really happening in the world. He's like, it is a big deal, and it's a big thing for a lot of people. And I don't want to diminish that. But like from an overall perspective, again, he's showing me like, so if the earth is here, he's viewing the earth from out in space, kind of this higher perspective, where he sees more things happening, or maybe a bigger world view. And this is just a part of the course of history. This is part of the evolution of the human race. And like, he doesn't feel fearful about it. He sees it as an evolutionary thing that's happening. He's showing this kind of churning motion. Can you tell me more about the churning, Wamba? Yeah, this is hitting in, the whole thing with the coronavirus is really hitting into some deep wounded parts in people that are very old. Meaning the wounds are very old, not the people are very old. Yeah, he's showing it, you know, it's not just from this life that maybe people are feeling this, but from generations passed down, that we're feeling this much more acutely. So what he's showing me now is the earth, and there's a lot of movement stuff happening, that almost this movement is like a change happening in the world, the earth, the way things are happening. Yeah, sometimes in order to have things change, we have to churn things up, and that's what he feels like the coronavirus is really doing here. it's challenging humans to think about things in a different way or to look at their leaders in a different way. And it's part of the, yeah, he's really showing like churning butter, you know, one of those churners, how things have to kind of get agitated in order to separate out the parts that you want. Okay, so we've got a question here for you, Wamba. Wamba, what do you think that humanity is capable of learning from this? I feel this sort of separation happening. It's almost like he's pulling one set of the humans up, and then there's another set that's kind of settling to the bottom. Everybody has the opportunity to learn something higher from this situation, is what he's saying. We have the opportunity to elevate ourselves or to let ourselves be pulled down, is what he's saying. Personally, I would choose the up, because that's more what I'm aligned with, is what Wamba says. But he feels like there's going to be kind of a separating out. Okay, Wamba, there's sort of, you know, when you say that, there are some like class issues and things about that, you know, that kind of come up when you say that. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's like, it's not like people who have plenty of money are just going to be optimistic and win. He's saying even people who are in the worst financial or kind of situation can have the opportunity to feel the higher place or to feel the evolution that's possible from this, rather than to, like, I just feel this like black kind of vortex whirlpool thing pulling him down, or not him down, but showing what could happen if we get hooked into, yeah, those lower kind of energies that might happen. Okay, Wamba, we've got another question here for you. Wamba, how do you think we can best move forward into our lives from this in a positive growth way, both individually and collectively? He says, well, that's a lot of what I was just kind of talking about with going up versus going down. Do you feel like there's a way, Wamba, that people could really, I mean, besides just having the aspiration or maybe the intention to click into that higher energy, is there some way that people could do that so they avoid getting sucked into that place of depression? Or, well, he's saying there's a lot of online support things that are coming out now. He's really encouraging people to connect in with their, maybe it's your friends or family, people who really bring your energy up. He wants people to be careful of who you're connecting with, and to be really aware of, is this somebody who's going to bring my energy up, or is this somebody who's just going to drain me when I'm finished? And he says, and then I don't mean that if you don't have friends or family, if you're in this by yourself, that you can't find someone or something to help you with that. He's saying right now, because of the coronavirus, there are so many people offering lots of free things, whether it's meditation or yoga classes, or, you know, any kind of interest that you might have that brings your energy higher. He says there's a lot of free opportunities at this time, and he's encouraging people to kind of test out and try those, you know, meditation classes or whatever kind of classes that you might be drawn to that help bring your energy up. He wants people to just really be aware of which direction it feels like things they are doing take their energy. He says it's just as simple as, okay, I'm doing this thing. Does this bring my energy up? Do I feel uplifted, or do I feel heavy and like I want to fall over and take a nap? He says it really can be that simple in determining, you know, what are the best, highest things for us to do going forward. And he's encouraging us, you know, this isn't, maybe you are isolated or you're self-isolating or quarantined, whatever you want to call it, by yourself, but because of technology, because of all our virtual things that are available to us, we're able to connect with each other in a different way. And he's really encouraging people to collectively start plugging into these higher vibration things that bring your energy higher during this time, if you don't already have things that are like that. And to keep engaging with groups that bring you higher. He's showing how, okay, so if you're an individual and you're aspiring, you're turning yourself up, you're really asking to doing something to turn your energy up. He's showing how when you're aligned with other people who are going for the same thing, it's like an amplification that happens. It's not just, it's exponential is what he's saying. It's not like you're just adding another layer, you're like adding another layer that's amplifying and really, and going up. Ooh, I feel very like kind of shiny and buzzy after after sharing that with you, Wamba. Take a look here and see if we have any other questions. Oh, Kim says that's very helpful, Wamba. Thank you. So we are kind of coming to the end of our time here. So I'm just gonna, anybody else have any last questions? I'll give them a second to come through for Wamba. Just love talking to this little buddy. He's such a special kitty. Carries a lot of really beautiful energy. I feel him, he's just kind of like shining like a sun, like shining the energy through to anybody who's watching this. It's a very special cat. He has the ability to really tap in and share a lot. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing Wamba's picture. All right, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's really been an absolute joy for me to share this animal wisdom with you. It's been a really fun project for me. So if you feel like you have an animal around you, it could be your domestic pet, it could be a wild animal that hangs around your neighborhood. But if you feel like this animal would like to share some of their wisdom with us, with the world, please send me a message and include a picture of them and their name and age if you know that. So again, thanks so much for joining me here today. And until next time, take care and be well.